There you are.
What's good?
Have you guys met before? Did you start following each other now?
Yeah, just recently when you decided to do this. So good
Yep.
to good to meet you, sir.
You as well.
Okay.
So what we on today? What we on today?
Well, I wanted to get to know you, so you're gonna have to talk about yourself a little bit.
Okay. So you want me to be an open book and blab, or do you want to ask specific questions and cut through the bullshit? How
No,
you
you
want to
can
handle it?
blab. You can blab because me and Hex are both kind of like we're not quiet, but we're not super chatty. So yeah, you're free to blab and all that.
All right. Would you consider yourself to be an introverted person?
Overall, I am. I'm
I am too.
selectively
Yeah.
extroverted. Yeah,
Yeah,
very rarely.
I am too. So that's an interesting trio.
Right.
All right.
So
So go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that we'll make it work. Hey Joe in the comments, what up?
Yeah. So
Pull up
it's
the
one of those.
stream.
That's one of those interesting dynamics where those awkward silences that people refer to for an introvert doesn't really seem so awkward, but for a listener and shit, I'm like, then it's lagging, it's dating, like, nah, can't do that today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Can't do
Right.
that today. Can't do that today. But
it's all good. You seem chatty enough, so
I
it's all
mean,
good.
I'm not a fearful person of human interaction. It is a normal thing still. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
even if it's in a digital format and shit, but like especially after these past couple years and shit, people been getting beat over the head and going through the motions emotionally, psychologically, et cetera, being cut off from the people they want to be close to because of, being afraid of this, that, and the third. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, you know, got to be able to interact, with good quality people. You know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah.
Got to be able to do that. That's
People
important,
with
I think.
good vibes and shit.
Yeah. But
Um,
also talking good shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, good ideas and good way, and just to be able to talk about ideas too without
Yeah.
being like,
Yeah.
well, do you want
Especially when
to?
they can articulate.
Yes, I'm kind of bad about that sometimes. I'm like, duh, like I just said what I meant. Like, I'm
Hey,
not gonna go into
sometimes layman works best too. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah,
part of is knowing your audience.
exactly. We got a handful of people in here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
All right. So anybody listening, I mean, all I can see is you, me, and Hex. So I mean, is there? Let me see. Give me 1
YouTube.
second. Let's chat button say
Yeah, it's
something.
on
Oh,
YouTube.
you
I think
too.
I have
Okay.
it on Twitter too.
All right. Well, I can't see any of that. So I guess I'm just gonna speak to whoever's listening. I'm gonna pretend there's a billion fucking people watching this shit.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So who am I? All right. So for the sake of this, you can call me 1MA. Right. One letter. Excuse me. One number, two letters.
Okay.
Uh, I use that as a title, more as a stamp and a brand because it also is something that's tattooed right here. You know what I mean? So that shit belongs to me. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, but people bite and other people get the same idea and shit or whatever. But like I said, that shit belongs to me, right? And the mindset behind 1MA is, being in the mode, having, been through the mud, knowing how to work your way out of and shit to be able to do what the fuck you gotta do by your lonesome if necessary to fucking survive and stay on your feet. You know what I'm saying? So that's I mean it's a grind way. It's a mindset, it's a grind way. You know what I mean? Get it how you gotta get it. You do your best not to, stomp on people, do people dirty and shit, you know what I mean? But get it how you fucking get it with morality. You know what I'm saying? Try to do people right. Not to fuck people over. So, you know what I mean? That's my code, I guess I could say, if it's a code and shit, call me a street superhero or something.
Yeah, I was excited to talk to you because I met you in that space and I was like, oh, this dude's cool. I've never talked to him before, and you seem really cool. And then like the next day, you posted a video on the timeline, and I was like, oh, he's cute too. I gotta get him on.
Yeah, you gassing me right now.
I'm not. I'm an honest gasser. It's gassing, but I ain't lying. Hey, Kathy's in the chat. What up, Kathy?
It's funny though, because I've always been a person that never took compliments like that well and shit. Like I always, carry my mode like I'm an ugly nigga. That's just always how I've been with it.
Well, I'm not lying. I'm being honest.
Well, I appreciate your flattery, and it is well received. I promise you. Thank you.
Yeah. How you doing, Hex? Did you have a good week this week?
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah, typical week. Nothing well, fuck, I just misplaced it. A friend Havoc, you know who he is, Force Mommy. He sent me a ledger and I just misplaced it.
A ledger?
Which is the hardware crypto wallet.
Oh.
Yeah, I literally don't know what I just did.
What are the contents of said wallet?
Just crypto.
Oh, cryptocurrency in said wallet?
Yep.
Are we exchanging large portions of cryptocurrency in said wallets?
Nope.
but we like to be exchanging large portions of cryptocurrency in those wallets.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think
when you have to start somewhere, like you have to start like getting the wallet and all that set up, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, do you want to like talk? Because I know you said you like dug your way up and shit. Do you want to like, I don't know, talk about any good stories you got about yourself, or like how you got to this more like how you got to the point where like you don't want to hurt people and you just want to like do good and.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really think so I'm definitely not a sadist. Let's start by saying that. You know what I'm saying? I don't, enjoy having to, put hands on people and physical altercations and into that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a self-defense type of altercation and shit, a nigga gonna do what a nigga do. I'm just gonna take it like a motherfucker trying to kill me, so I'm gonna protect myself. That is what it is. But that said, my mindset is not like I'm trying to, interact with people like, you better back the fuck up off me because I'll fuck you up type stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not on that. You know what I mean? Just, try, deal with people kindly, deal with people nicely and shit, fucking help people. But, sometimes, life is showing you hard lessons. So sometimes you gotta be hard at certain things. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. So for me, I understand that, a lot of people, be hurting, especially through these times and shit. You know what I mean? And, a lot of motherfuckers ain't in positions to be helping people and shit. I can reach down to help a hand and pull you up to the next level type deal and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, one thing that I think a lot of people lacked in shit, especially these past couple of years and shit, is moral support. Being able to really be heard when they're going through struggles and shit. You know what I mean? So even through, I would say probably through the most of the course of my life, I've always been one of those people that, people see me like they fucking therapists and shit. You know what I mean? They tell me their stories and, ask me how to help them process and go through shit. You know what I mean? So I've been a cerebral person for the most part, but like being outwardly is not my most comfortable zone and shit, but I can be that person. But, the problem for me is that a lot of the interactions that I've seen and shit is, people see my outward exuberance as threatening and shit. Motherfuckers be getting scared.
You're too much, like you're too intimidating, even if it's nice.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't trying to be that dude. You know what I mean? So it's like it's disrespectful in a way and shit, but it's offensive, really. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna be the nigga sit up here and start crying and bitching about it, because you know what I mean? Just where I see that shit, that's not a problem for me to fix. You know what I mean? All I can be is me, and that's all I'm gonna ever be is me.
Yeah, we can't like control how people accept us or how they take us or whatever. That is something in life like all of us have to go through at that point where we're like, these people aren't gonna like me. Not everyone's gonna fucking like me. People are gonna think wrong things about me sometimes, but that's not I have no control over that. That's not me. I can't.
Yeah.
You just have to let it go.
Yeah, but sometimes, well, at least in my lifetime, I can speak to this and shit. I'm sure this has happened to other people as well. But like, sometimes these people are in positions to try to sabotage you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to, your professional career, what you do for a living and shit. You know what I mean? Try to, fuck with your wallet, fuck with your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck with your livelihood, which has been this last 2 years. It was like fucking on huge, like the government literally fucked with everybody's livelihood. And like, how is that okay? How are people just okay with all that shit? I'm like, if you saw somebody do that on a micro scale, if someone was just fucking up a deal you had going or whatever, then they come in and do all this, and people are like, well, it's okay.
Yeah, because people get scared easy and shit, man. Like, like startled cats outside and shit. I don't know who the fucking trust and shit. So quickly skittish and shit, man. That's a problem. That's a problem. But it's also those same type of people and shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna use an analogy for this and shit, but it's them same type of people and shit that see me like a wild dog off the leash. You know what I mean? It's like I'm expecting to come up, you know what I mean? Just start barking and biting your motherfucking head off and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
yeah, just because you're like strong and confident in who you are and do what you do, and yeah, those are the people who are like because they're such little NPC bitches and shit.
Yeah.
Let me shout out. Hey, Alice. Everyone in the chat. Good God, everybody. Someone's saying you like to get whipped and cuffed. 1MA.
Whipped and cuffed?
Yeah.
Like with handcuffs? No. Cuffed?
No, cuffed. Yeah.
Cuffed. Never mind.
Nah, neither.
It's funny. I don't know who that is.
Who is it from? Who said that?
Here, I'll put it up here.
Name.
Can you see it on the screen there? Animalistic 6.
Oh, okay. I know who that is. Okay.
When did you start your YouTube, by the way?
Well, really ain't even my YouTube. That's his YouTube. Right? That's his shit. Right? I if I can say, like, when it comes to the podcast or any of that type of shit, I'm a byproduct of that. Right? Because I came from that. You know what I mean? All of what I learned about how to do this, and all of the extra behind the scenes production that has to go into this shit. You know what I'm saying? I learned all this shit from him. You know what I mean? So he just he's not active on social media like that because he don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just he be on trying to make shit happen. You know what I mean? But I be trying to drag him into the vortex sometimes on Twitter though.
It's so funny how many people there's even people who are like a lot on social media, but they just don't Twitter at all. Like they just do not Twitter. They don't get it. And I'm like, I understand that because when I first got on it took me a minute, but now I'm like, fuck, I love Twitter more than anything else. Like out of all of them.
As of now, it's the best one.
What'd you say?
As of now, it's the best one.
It seems like it. It seems like you get information fast and you can actually I don't know, test it and find more information. I don't know. But during the whole COVID shit, it's been very helpful, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because I was right the whole time because of shit I saw on Twitter at the very beginning. And now I'm like, my friends on Instagram are yelling at me for saying shit. And I'm like, 2 years later, I was still fucking right. Like I was right then and I'm right now.
And you still mad. You've been mad the whole time.
People. I ran into some people I went out dancing at this one club for the first time in 2 fucking years. And I ran into this couple and they were like, right away, they're like, oh, aren't you just so glad it's going back to normal? We don't have to think about it. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not letting this go. We are going to think about this. So yeah, that's great that we can live normally. But if we're just you can't forget history. That's how we repeat it, right? So it's we gotta fucking
get what they took from you.
Yes, I'm like, how did these people? They seriously think they were yelling at people, calling them grandma killers, and they think people are just gonna be like, "Oh, okay, it's all good now." And I'm like, no, So
I'm gonna play devil's advocate to that for a second though.
Let's hear it.
Just for the sake of argument, do you think that right there would be something to let go for the sake of? Even though, their mindset was something ulterior to what you think and we're right on, right? You know what I'm saying? Because look, not everybody right all the time. So let's be clear about that. We all be wrong sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's life. So rather than ostracize and shun them for that, but you fucked up. Come on, let's go.
Do you mean forgive them?
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I definitely have a forgiveness heart especially because I know a lot of they didn't know what they were doing or saying half the time too.
That's why I need to be cut off. That's the main reason why right there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's you know what I mean? It's one thing to be a dredge on society, okay? But it's another thing where, you know what I'm saying, you're an able body, you're at work, you know what I'm saying? Even before all this COVID bullshit, you know what I'm saying? You were doing your job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? You were a productive person in society, right? Before all this shit, right? And just to make it simple, we'll just say, all right, you chose the wrong side, blah, 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 blah. But you know what I'm saying? You still have lots of redeeming qualities, right? You just made a bad decision on this one, right? So we're going to move past this. Come on, let's go.
Right.
That's the easiest way to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? That way people ain't got to be sitting up here, beating each other over the head with all this dumb shit. You know what I mean? Especially on, like, I'll be honest with you though, that's the one thing on Twitter though that's bad though, because you get a lot of that button head shit and people be fucking, they be like, they bait for it, they trigger for it, they on it, trying to fucking perpetuate that shit, man. That's the one thing I don't like.
Yeah, people be crazy on there. No, I'm with you. Like, and I've had a couple of these moments over the last 2 years because there were people who like I just couldn't talk to anymore because they were too hurtful or whatever. But it's like I do have to forgive them. I've kind of been like that since I was a kid because I had to move out really young because my parents were crazy.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't be like some mean, mad, bitter person about that. And I remember my ex at the time like helped walk me through that. Like you can forgive them. You won't forget what happened. You won't like. But you have to move on, like for your own sake, your own soul. So you're not just like, in that.
Yeah, because they say forgiveness is for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. And once you do kind of like when you have that moment, it is kind of like I don't know what called an evolutionary moment or whatever. When you have those moments,
we like
yeah. It's like I have forgiven this person, and they were definitely in the wrong.
Yeah.
But with this COVID stuff, I'm like, especially with my problem is with all the kids now too. Like that's what I really worry because people are like, oh, the kids. People have always said forever, oh, kids are fine. Like everyone get divorced and be like, oh, the kids are fine. Well, then you find out like 20 years later, the kids weren't fucking fine. They were having a hard time with it and whatnot.
Have you seen like I've seen a couple of them. I haven't seen like a whole splurge of them, but I've seen a handful slide through of like some of these like young kids having heart attacks at school and shit like that. You know, I'm talking about elementary school level kids.
I mean, apparently I just was reading something on Twitter too that like there are literally
I've seen
kids
couple,
getting heart problems. They're getting all these heart problems.
Yeah, like myocarditis and shit.
I've seen like teenagers to like young adults around my age. I'm 25, but
like matter of fact, I remember
kids.
I remember the last one I saw. They said the fucking kid had a heart attack during recess at lunch.
Probably running and then suddenly
climate change. That's from climate change, though.
Yeah, they're probably calling it that too, or say that's the cause of it.
That's the shit too. It's like y'all can't gaslight us. They're really gonna keep trying to gaslight people. It's just like.
And then I've also seen them try to gaslight people and say that it's normal to have heart conditions like that, and it's like, no, it's not.
It's not. It really ain't.
If you like fucking do cocaine every day of your life, maybe, but not just from
adolescence though.
Yeah,
absolutely not. You know,
just from existing, like
right. Yeah, what are they gonna do? Do you guys say let's do like your prediction? Do you think from all the giving vaccines and everything, like something's gonna come from that?
I'm sorry. Repeat your question.
So you want to play? You want to do 10 for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. I repeat the question again.
Do you think there will be some major event caused by giving all these people vaccines?
Okay. Before I give you a wildly outlandish prediction, right? I'm gonna preface that by saying, "What if?" Okay, that's one thing. That's one thing I like to tweet a lot on Twitter is just random things. What if? Okay, so what if this jab is something that suppresses your immune system, that makes your natural, bacteria, right? The natural bacteria that's already in you, suppressed from the reptilians, and they will reveal themselves. What if?
What if?
It's
like nothing's outlandish anymore.
You said 10 for, or do you want me to go? Or do you want me to go like systematically?
Either way, we can explore all the thoughts.
Systematically, I think pretty much all of us can agree at this point is that it's an attack and a focus point, a bullseye for control of people's minds, control of people's fear, control of people's hearts, control of people's wallets. You know what I'm saying? A lot of what's happening and shit is, as far as, the workplace goes and the workforce, they really putting a fucking squeeze on a lot of people and shit as far as, what motherfuckers are trying to pay when they talk about, motherfuckers are screaming, they're begging for people to work and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you paying ain't shit, bro. Like the fuck. You know what I mean? So you got to be really in your mode right now. You got to be really on your mode. especially if you the type of person and shit where you really got to grind for your shit, or it's that's gonna be a hard fall, and that's a hard truth.
Well, what are you gonna say, Hex?
As far as the immune system thing goes, I've seen a lot of evidence last year that suggested that the vaccines do actually inhibit your immune system's ability to fight off infection. And I've seen several studies that suggest that, especially as these boosters keep getting administered, they're gonna eventually end up giving people literal AIDS.
So fucking funny you mentioned that shit, man, because I remember this was before I was really using Twitter, and then I got banned, so I went back to Facebook for a little while and shit before I came back. But I put something on Facebook in regards to this because they wouldn't suppress my shit or delete my shit or whatever. That if you got yourself the jab, you allowed them to give you HIV.
Well, there was that literally happened in Australia very early on. I think it was October 2020. They were testing a vaccine, and afterwards,
people were testing positive for HIV.
And they were like, "Well, it wasn't actual HIV," but I'm like, I don't. That would freak me the fuck out, even if I was actually testing. Like, what the fuck did you put in me? What did you do to me? Like,
yeah.
And I've also seen evidence that they use part of the actual
virus, the virus or some shit.
They actually use part of that in the development of the vaccines.
What the fuck? Science, baby.
You think that's going too far? You think that's going too far?
What, like down the tinfoil hat route? Or?
No. I mean, as far as because the thing is, like what you just explained and shit. Like I heard the same shit. You know what I mean? As far as like microbiology and doing that type of shit, you think that's going too far?
Yeah, it's starting to. Yeah.
Especially if they're trying to force it on people. If you wanted whatever, have fun in your own secret lab and do crazy ass shit, honestly, I wouldn't care as long as it's all like consensual. But yeah, who knows? It just feels like everything that's comic book villain is like coming true, kind of like the crazy shit, these crazy labs.
Yeah, bioweaponry labs. Let's call it what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, again, if you want to put it in every person in the whole world, how is that not technically some sort of bioweapon? Even if it, I'm like, that's you're putting it in everyone.
Especially if it hurts people.
Right. And and they know, I mean, we all know statistically, if you give Tylenol to every fucking person in the world, someone's going to have a bad reaction to it. That's just how it's going to work, So it's like, how were they thinking? How did people go along with this? Where like, there's going to be statistically people having bad reactions because people had bad reactions to flu shots before and other vaccines. So it's like weird that they thought like, yeah, everyone should take it. I don't know how that happened.
Effective.
Yeah, I remember I read I went down a rabbit hole one time about a connection with autism and the flu vaccine or some shit.
I mean, it makes sense with the more vaccines we've had, the more autism and just like autoimmune issues people are having. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not a scientist or like mathematician, but like there's got to be some like,
It's just like, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to be a genius to feel like something's off.
Just to connect some dots.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gotta be a certified genius. Like, wait a minute, something doesn't make sense here. You know what I mean? That makes you aware.
And then you start asking questions. You see these clowns on Twitter go, "Well, you're not a doctor. What do you know?" And it's like, I don't need to be a doctor to look at these however many points of data and then come to some kind of conclusion based off of that data. I don't need to be a doctor for that.
Or to even ask the question. The fuck?
Yeah, that has been annoying because it's like, you ain't a doctor either, bitch. You're just fucking like...
Yeah, you're just regurgitating what you've been spoon-fed. You're not even thinking about it at all. So go fuck yourself,
What a weird 2 years.
So to that point, because what's lacking right there is critical thinking. Like, do you think that's something that can be fixed? Or people just, if you don't have it, you don't have it?
Right. Like, can you teach it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never used to really think about that. And then I was like, why, over the last 2 years, it's like, okay, I know there's people who are with me on this. And I know like we're thinking about it certain ways, but why are so many people not? Mm-hmm. And or like, can it be taught and can it be hindered? like, did the school systems hinder critical thought, and did they like purposely?
I think so. Because I'm gonna tell you a quick story.
Okay.
I used to be a teacher. Like, I ain't gonna drag that whole song shit. But I used to be a teacher. I used to be a computer teacher, right, for Fairfax County government. Okay, in Virginia. So I mean, I had, firsthand experience dealing with, kids and learning. You know what I mean? So I understand what it is to apply curriculum, but then also, give support and give nuggets and helping build up, young, confident people. Like because like I'm saying this, the biggest problem with the kids in school is not feeling confident in what they're doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if, like, all right, for example, they got a math problem, whatever shit. It's like, you know what? I think I got it, but I'm not really sure and shit. They do it on the paper and shit. They did it right, but in their mind, it's just like, I don't feel like I did it right. You know what I mean? It's
I've had that feeling.
You understand what I'm saying? So the other part that's missing from that is, okay, yeah, you did it right and shit, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? You got to build them up. You know what I mean? Not like have them, let them be stuck in that spot where they feel, dumbed down and stuck in, not confident, especially if you're showing progression. Them the ones you got to build up, because like, especially not, because like, here's a prime example of this. Justin Trudeau, right? He's a prime example of one of these young guys that got groomed up and run them through the pipeline real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There are young people that are in the mud that are of that same fucking mold. You know what I mean? They like diamonds in the rough. If that's probably the best analogy for it. You got diamonds in the rough everywhere. You know what I mean? Them the ones that got to be built up and pushed up, because them the ones that's really gonna make a difference in the long run, especially when it comes to, capturing the minds and consciousness of NPCs and stupid ass motherfucking people. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. This is how I see shit now. You know what I mean? But it makes me feel bad when I say this shit, but this is how I see it, right? If we've come to a point where we establish that we got people that have critical thinking skills, people that, see what's going on, but they're also able to read between the lines, right? You got people out here and think about a damn thing. They just like, robots running shit, just going through the motions, NPCs, right? We see that there's a difference with that shit, right? So it becomes a point where it's like, all right, how many times you gonna keep running to the fucking wall, right? So rather than keep running into the wall with the same shit, you start using that shit, right? But the problem is the avenue to reach them is not from an antagonistic perspective. You know what I mean? The way to reach them is through being entertained. You know what I'm saying? When you capture the mind and the heart and shit, then you got them. You know what I'm saying? So I guess in summation with that shit, like, rather than be antagonistic, especially with stupid ass motherfucking people and shit, invite them in with the offering of peace. And then if they decide to get stupid and shit, then you can get stupid as fuck on.
All right, I gotta step. I'll be right back. I gotta check on this water.
Okay, he's making some tea. Yeah, and that is like hard with kids, because there's that when you're teaching them. So I guess with like critical thinking, to teach them, you do have to let them mess up. You have to let them fail.
Yeah.
And then, but like, has there been something going on where kids just weren't failing at all, and they were just kind of like letting them pass without even like figuring out why they failed, how to get past this point?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See,
I don't know if you can teach
one of the things that I've seen, especially with kids in school during my time, was they were expected the answer to be spoon-fed to them. You know what I mean? It was more a matter of going through the motions rather than, being able to put things together. Like, like information retention for, and what is it? Them little Scantron tests and shit, standardized tests or whatever and shit, that bullshit. Like, for shit like that, rather than, being able to put things together, make sense of things. You know what I mean? That part is lacking, right? But what I've seen, at least from what I've seen from afar, because I don't do that shit anymore, but what I've seen from afar is that the focus has been more on their highness of social standing or lack thereof versus curriculum, what they're there for.
I could see that.
The shit's backwards. It's like it's a social school rather than an academic school.
Yeah, man.
What did I miss?
talk more about school. Like, and I was talking just like how maybe there's just been generations now where they like didn't let them fail as much and didn't let them, you know, every time they hit a wall or whatever, they would just like, okay, well, this is the answer. We'll just move it forward. And then the whole standardized testing shit, how that just made like, what the fuck was that? Like, I understand wanting to test people's ability, but I guess that was, I mean, my mother was a teacher, and even way back in the day, she got the hell out of the profession a long time ago, but she was like, these standardized tests are like bullshit for the most part. And like, why are every kid learns different. Every kid is different. Like,
yeah. What is it? 3 modes of learning? What is it? Visual,
hands-on,
and
visual,
audio.
and
audio.
Hearing, yeah.
That's an important thing to know. You know, it's a small detail, but the devil is in the details.
Well, yeah,
Also,
and like, oh, go ahead, hun.
I'm sorry. I've brought this up before, but you know, you can look at the history of the school system here in the States, how they adopted the Prussian model, which was very militaristic, you know, and it was only to make people obedient soldiers, or you know, the Industrial Revolution was getting ready to kick off, and they just wanted people to either be soldiers or, you know, work in the factory line type thing. So that history is also something to look at.
You know, it's interesting too, because I know, like, you know, in the 90s when everything, being a computer teacher, I don't know if you noticed this, just like the push for get everyone into computers, make everyone like know computers. Don't forget about the trades anymore. Just computer.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, here's the thing. I wouldn't, at least not my experience, I wouldn't say it was, you know, heavy to the point where, you know, I mean, they were trying to, you know, push it so hard, like, you know, we're trying to replace all those things. But like, you know, in the time that I taught, as well as in the schools that I went to in my scholastic career and shit, you know what I mean, there wasn't really much trade shit taught anyway. Like the one trade thing I remember being taught in high school was fucking print shop.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like using the dark room and all that shit, you know, developing film, all that shit. Yeah. You know, being able to print it out, you know, cut up business cards, all that type of shit. You know what I mean? That was the only thing that I remember in my time in school. But like, I don't really think that's something that's really pushed out all these not necessary and shit. I mean, maybe that can vary from region to region. I don't know. You know what I mean? I haven't lived anywhere else but here. You know what I mean? But like, I think trade is important as shit though. I really do.
You know, when I was in school, the trades never came up once when I was in school. So
that's wild, man. That shit's so important, man.
Yeah, they just slowly, like, then I even remember, like, even just where I grew up, because I grew up in this, like, kind of snooty county, not snooty county, it's a beautiful county, but there's a lot of people with money there, so it's kind of snooty. And, like, yeah, just, like, this, like, looking down on the trades, and, like, I remember all my friends were going to school right away for computer sciences and stuff after high school, and, like, I don't even think we had, like, we had some electives that were more like hands-on type things.
Yeah.
But then like I think then they were done pretty much. Like I don't remember my last couple of years of high school. But I said that's my like tinfoil hat thing a little bit too, is like they've been trying to Ender's Game everybody, get everyone into computers, and like then I mean now we're droning. There's literally people like controlling drones to bomb people, you know, like if they were trying to like push that.
Yeah.
And people still look down on the trades and shit, and it's like if you can't like flush your toilet, you're like you're screwed, you know? Like you got
especially those plumbers, they make bank, dude.
Yeah.
It's dirty work, but they made bank.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, anyways. Where we could talk about schools. Sorry, I'm a little stoned already.
I've been that.
I was like, I made it to noon.
Shit, I was lit way before that.
Let me get in the chats here. Alice was saying she felt bad about sending her kids to school, but she's glad because she learned how fucked up it was. What's Randy saying? Our children to Caesar. Yeah, that's a great quote.
That is a really good quote.
Yeah.
Good job, Randy. Yeah, it's why. And then I don't have kids, so I'm not allowed to fucking have an opinion on any of it, anyways. But
I hate that.
Right,
I hate that.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you something about that. I really hate that. And because I don't have any children either, right? But in my lifetime, I've dated, you know, a couple different women that had children already. You know what I mean? So plus I was a teacher, so I've spent probably more than half my life dealing with kids, and none of them was ever any of mine, right? The reason why I hate when people say that shit, you know, you shouldn't have an opinion because you don't have kids and shit. Like on multiple occasions, these women and shit, you know, got so frustrated with their own children and shit, where it was almost to the point where it's like, hey, I'm gonna sick him on you just because I can't deal with this shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, I got an opinion now. You know what I mean? But it's not even about trying to hold that trump card and shit. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But, you know, then I'm, you know, called in as the enforcer to restore order. You know what I'm saying? Only in those moments and shit. It's like, yeah, I got to call in help off the bench. So I hear people do that shit because it's like, you know, they try to use it as a trump trying to cut your legs out and shit. But it's like part of the reason why I don't like it is because when you don't have kids and you see the interactions that, you know, sometimes parents have trouble with their kids, you're able to see it more objectively because you're not in it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
and I've observed a million different parenting styles and all this shit. So from an unbiased, yeah, and I'll say, like, I'll never tell someone how to raise their kids. So yeah, we can all objectively see things sometimes where it's like, okay, that's probably not good for a kid, or that is good for a kid, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But I think one of those trigger points with that shit is you know, spankings, belt whippings, shit like that.
Yeah, everyone got an opinion on that. My ass got beat growing up, so
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know and I'm like, I obviously understand like the bad of it, but I'm like, what do you do with a toddler who doesn't understand like that they can't do something? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you like beating on a fucking toddler, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like, especially because like the problem is and shit. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I understand being frustrated sometimes and shit. You know, having to deal with another person that's helpless and needs you. You know what I mean? But you gotta remember to hold reserve and hold patience sometimes, because you know, especially with toddlers, you know, they can't articulate everything they need and they want.
Right. They don't even know anything. Like, they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, that's part of being a parent trying to figure it out, you know. But you know, you succumb to frustration. You know, somebody that does shit like that, especially when the child is that young, is not fit to be a parent. That's right. That's my personal opinion on that shit.
Well, especially like, I don't know if you experience this, and like our parent, you know, I like don't blame parents, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. Parents usually typically are doing their best, but like, yeah, when you hit out of anger and frustration,
that's a problem.
Like, that's so harmful to your psyche, you know, that really, because it's so confusing, because you're like, I'm just this little helpless kid, and this person is supposed to be my protector, and then now they're hurting me.
And they're taking the belt to me. What's going on?
Yeah. My dad always jokes. He's like, yeah, all my kids here when I come home, and he pulls his belt out of the loop. Like, lucky shit. He never beat us with a belt, but
oh shit, I got the belt.
I did too.
I got the belt. My pops used to use the thick ass motherfucking leather belt.
We're the wooden spoons.
I'm gonna put myself all the way the fuck out there. My pops has whipped my ass in public before.
Oof.
I got beat in public too. Not beat, but yeah, they would definitely fucking go.
He pulled off his belt and whooped my ass in public.
And that, like, what does that do? That people who like watch that, it's just like, doing those situations, and that's actually going to the COVID stuff. It's been hard watching like these parents forcing kids in masks and stuff, because it feels abusive, some of it, and it's like, what do you feel like those
it's people... restrictive, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. But see, here's the thing. The problem with that shit is that people, like, with shit like that, after a certain point, it becomes part of routine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you start having little moments and shit where you have little negative twitches and you're like, oh shit, where's my mask? You know what I'm saying? Nah, you don't want that shit. But that, you know, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier and shit. Difference between somebody that's really thinking about it versus somebody that's NPC with the shit. You know what I mean? You programmed to just going through the motherfucking motions, man.
And it makes sense that they're really trying to like be normalized with children, so that the kids are like, yeah, this is normal to do this. Like, we just do it without question, because there's things we all did without question as children growing up.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Even my nieces, which my whole family has been against it the whole time. My brother-in-law has a liver transplant and autoimmune disorders of the butt, and he was against everything the whole time too. But like my nieces now are in, like, I think they're middle and high school. And they're like, they like the mask because now they're getting acne and it helps cover up their face. And then they don't. And I'm like, it just makes me, as someone who also at that age was not like, I wasn't confident and I was like, you know, embarrassed how I looked and stuff at that age too. So it's like, God, like I can understand like what's going through their heads right now. It's just like,
I look better with this thing on my face and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, hide all your imperfections.
Yeah.
People will judge you for.
And I remember like a couple years ago, I never really had Snapchat, but I had it on my phone and you could do a filter with masks. Like this was before COVID. And like all these people would do it. Do you remember that? And now it's like, what the hell were they doing? Like, of course, it was like, because a lot of people did it because it made them look cool and like ninjas or whatever, you know. And then all of a sudden, everyone was masking. Just stupid. I went out last night with a bunch of like Liberty-ish people, so that's one thing that's been really cool about all this bullshit is just like building a community of people who were all different lifestyles, but we like agree on like the fact that you can't fucking do shit like that. Like, you can't. So that's been fun. But we were talking about this shit too. I was trying to think about it or something that had to do with that, but I forgot. I don't know. Let's see on the chats here. What's JBP saying? Yeah, you're like, just wait till I get you home.
Yeah.
Right, but see, here's the thing. That shit works when the child already knows what the deal is with the ass whooping. You know what I mean? So you already, child already in the pocket scared now. You know what I'm saying? But see, here's the problem with that shit, right? Like people on the flip side, but like, oh, see, that's psychological intimidation on your child. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, the fuck, what you supposed to do? A young person that you're responsible for taking care of, you just gonna let them act a fucking fool in public? No, you're not. You're not. Like,
yeah, that's the development. You have to.
See, I'm gonna tell you something. I think a large part of this problem is rooted in the school systems trying to push and encourage children keeping secrets and shit from their parents about what's happening at school.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Now with the COVID shit.
I don't like that shit at all.
Like I think it was in California, they were trying to pass a law where the kids can get vaccines without the parents' consent and shit like that. And then
I don't like that shit, man.
And then when COVID first started and people were doing the at-home thing, there were some teachers complaining that parents are looking at what the kids were learning or whatever, and it's like, well, I'm not a parent either, but it's like, if I'm the parent, I damn well bet I want to know what's going on in school.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's basic shit, but somehow that's a problem. No.
Do you follow
the schools? Specifically public schools. Therefore, the state is trying to be the parent.
Exactly. Right. So, hey, I'm sorry for us, mommy. Don't lose your thought. But see, that's also part of what I was thinking about with it, where I feel like maybe it's not the next hop step, but maybe a couple steps down and shit. Like the plan is to start, giving kids the option to emancipate themselves from their parents completely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
It's a prey on the fucking children, man. I don't like that shit, man.
And then they're trying to normalize pedophilia now. That's rampant for some
right. Reason. Like you're emancipated from your parents. How old are you? Okay, come on, you can come stay with me. The fuck? Nah, absolutely not.
I know, like years ago, like if a youth pastor or whatever did that shit, we were like, fuck no, like that's wrong. But it's like the grooming thing is totally real now.
Yeah.
And I really think it is because, so I was going to ask if you guys follow James Lindsay, but he's super smart and he's really well researched on the whole CRT, all that shit. But it really is like, because I've been learning about it too. Because I never learned about neo-Marxism growing up, right? But like it really does make sense. And just like you said with the emancipation, and this is why they've done this whole queer theory too, because you can't just be a normal white kid or whatever, you have to be this weird sexuality on top of it to make you they like want to make it so parents and kids can't even understand each other anymore, because the kids are talking about, I'm attracted to blah, and like parents are like, what? Like, what are you fucking talking about? So it's true. It really is true that like that is coming, and that from everything that's been researched, like these activist teachers really are trying to push for that, because that's what happened in China with Mao and stuff. Like, you were the kid of a landlord, you were, they set up this whole system, like rating system. So it's like, of course they're gonna try
Is
it
that
again.
that social credit system or some shit?
Yeah, which is like
Okay.
legit. It's here now. Like there, I saw an investment company advertisement come through on Twitter that was all about the ESG scores and all this, and it's like, what? You're a fucking investment company, like.
It's like
doing, right?
these are like based off of your score, you fit best here. Please stand forward and put you up there on the next shelf or some shit.
Yeah, and then
Like-
they'll be like,
like the
"Oh, your
10
score is
people?
low this week, so you're not allowed to
You're
have
not
as much
getting any
food."
investment money.
Yeah,
Oh,
or
wow.
whatever. Like, you know, that's what it seems like it's doing. Because like, why the hell else? Why the hell else would a fucking bank care about if they're social? Like, you know, like it's just. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
because
really deep.
now see, here's the thing. Like when you think about the word social, right? That involves an interaction, right? That's not something tangible that you can quantify or weigh in any other way other than emotionally, you know, social interaction. So what is that worth? It's priceless.
Right.
It's priceless. Here's an example. This is just a small example, right? This right here. This ain't never been done before. It'll never be repeated ever again because none of this shit is scripted. This is completely live off the cuff. It's one small example of it right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they want to like try and control it, and that was what's confusing to me. So I'm like, well, how are these companies that are like want to do all that? Like, how does that? Because you know, like obviously they want to make money. Like in the end, all these companies want the money and control. So it's like, yeah, it's been crazy learning about all that because it's just like I don't fucking know, you know. And I was always kind of like a I won't say like a postmodernist, but I've always been able to like think about things from other perspectives or like, whoa, if you do this weird, but I never like went too far. But they're doing it, man. It's in there. This like they're literally teaching it, and that's crazy. I want to have James on sometime too. Sorry, catching up on the chats. Yes, this is true. It is the ESG. And they're going to just
That's just
control our
more
shit
control.
and turn our shit off when we're not like doing the correct thing or saying the
Yeah.
correct stuff.
Yeah. If your sayings go against the status quo, flip.
Oh, you're using your brain too much.
Yeah,
There goes your food rations for the month.
that's crazy, man. I sound like prison. I sound like fucking prison.
It really does.
The fuck?
That's what they want. I mean, I guess that's the type of what the elite or whatever want.
So here's something to think about. Like I'm sure we've all heard examples of this type of shit happening in the past to other countries and other places and other continents, right? Let's say something like that takes foot here, right? How many people really have the option to get out? You know what I mean? Is it something that's you're gonna get squished under the fucking the iron boot as the shit comes down on you one way or the other? You know what I'm saying? Or can you be like, you know what? I want to renounce my citizenship of the United States of America. You know what I mean? Can you do that shit? I don't even know.
I know, where do we go from here? From especially America?
Because it's like, because it's like, look, that I mean, you could keep it very basic. You be like, all right, Slim, what you just proposed to me right there, that shit violates my right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of my fucking happiness, right? I don't want that shit. So if that's the type of shit y'all's on, can a nigga get out?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they like, no, it's a simple question. You know what I mean? Because what you trying to rule under feels like prison and slavery more than freedom, and I would like to leave. And they tell you can't. If they tell you no, you can't leave, then you already know what time it is at that point.
Yeah. And then they try to play this for the greater good. The bullshit, the greater good argument. Fuck the greater good. I don't want this garbage.
And the people who say it the most ain't fucking contributing to it ever. They're like, know.
Right. See, the thing with shit like that, man, is, they pay people a lot of money to be crafty with words that stick in people's memory, especially the memories of NPCs. You dig? Which is why I said entertainment is how you reach them. You know what I mean? It ain't through the fists. You know what I mean? Excuse me. No. Matter of fact, nah. It's not the stick. It's the carrot. You know what I'm talking about? The old analogy and shit. It's not the stick, it's the carrot, right?
Right.
So these motherfuckers, man, they pay people a lot of money to be real crafty with these words that stick with people.
He dropped. He was on his phone, so I don't know if his phone might have died.
I like this dude a lot.
Isn't he cool?
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, he's on an. I'll link I'll updo the things, but yeah, and the channel he's on, they talk. Here, he's back. Hold on here.
What the fuck just happened?
Yeah, you just dropped.
The feds heard you talking, and they're like,
What the fuck just happened? Be like Will Smith, get the slapping, cause the nigga brain is snapping. I ain't acting, but anyway, yeah. So they pay motherfuckers a lot of money to be crafty with these goddamn words, right? And people are good at writing words that stick in people's brain, right? So when you say the greater good, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like something pleasant, right? But see, the problem is, it's like what you packaging with it, Slim, don't really sound like what you selling. So I'm not buying what you selling. Simple as that.
Right.
Yeah,
but
like everyone who says it, they're like, they just want to benefit from it anyways, regardless if it exists.
But like I said, it's simple as that, and it's plain to see when you're a critical thinking person and you are aware. Problem is, I think y'all would agree with this. On a 50-50 split, it's probably not split even. There's probably more people that would classify as NPC as opposed to critical thinker. Would you agree?
You think it's 50-50 or less?
I think it's more. I would say on the side of NPC, I would say somewhere between 65 to 75 to be real.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. Especially as population grows. You know?
Yeah. But see, that's also another thing too, though, when you say that shit, though, man, because they, pushing for people to get abortions like it's not even a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
really
like the fuck. That's crazy how that's opened I never really thought about that much in my life, but then seeing how it really has been a thing. They're really pushing for it, and you have these fucking fat nasty bitches out there I'm gonna get all these abortions, and it's what is how did we get there? How did we get to where these women who aren't even getting fucked, let's face it, they ain't having sex, and they're out there oh, abortion's good, and
did you see that? I shared this. It was from, I think, the Daily Wire. And, they probably worded the headline to try to generate some outrage over it. But the way they worded the headline is, I don't remember her name. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife donated X amount of money to Planned Parenthood so they can do abortions for
I remember hearing that.
Of black babies or whatever.
I remember hearing that. All right, so
and I was sitting here yo, what the fuck, dude?
Here's something to consider. One of the things, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't keep up on all this shit. I really don't. You know what I mean? I see what I see, but like I said, I'm a type of person and shit where it's I see something that catches my interest. I know how to go dig for what I need to find real quick. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. I know how to be Sherlock Holmes when I need to be in the fucking phone. You know what I mean? So one of the things that I've been seeing is, they've been trying to open up this avenue and shit where you telling women and shit that you can have abortions all the way up to right when your baby's about to be born type deal, right? So to me, when I hear shit like that, where they're trying to suggest it or consider it or just nudge it forward a little bit, right? You open up the avenues for more genetic experimentation, right? But also, that's a lot of fresh organs to harvest. Let's be real. Let's be real.
That was one of the Alex Jones was right things. He was talking about how they would take babies and they were using them for, I think it was one of the southern states. It was in Kentucky or something. And he was no, they were taking them and using them in experiments, whether they were just aborted or whatever, but they were a little bit bigger babies. Mm-hmm. And they were no, you're crazy. And then they literally found out it was true, that this was really going on, that they were experimenting, growing hair, I don't know, it was the chimera, mixing it with animal stuff. It was really happening. I need to look that
human animal experimentation.
Yeah. like trying to see, and exactly like you said for the organs, obviously, because the people in the powers that be want
it's
forever
so
life.
it's so many different avenues just from that right there. You know, from
Right.
goddamn the black market itself. You know what I mean? To blood, the cells, the fresh DNA, all of that shit. Brain stem, brain.
Yeah, the stem cells.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
the
that.
stem
Yeah,
cells
yeah.
for
Yeah,
the
we already
lizard people.
know. We already know they're doing stuff with it. So, yeah, that's true because I know they can get some stem cells just from like the cord blood, which obviously you don't need to like abort a baby for. But like, but then they're like getting other stuff too. It's like the South Park episode with Christopher Reeves where he's just like eating the fetuses. And then he can start. He started to walk again because he was eating the fetuses and stuff. But I'm like,
that's twisted.
It's like, but is it that far off? Because there are people like who are getting stem cell treatments for their paralysis, which wow, that's kind of cool and amazing. But then it is like there's this gray area of like, how did we get to this treatment? Was it ethical? Was it moral?
Yeah.
No. Crazy.
See, and see, here's the thing. When you come down to that crisis of conscience right there, it's not about rules and laws. That's a matter of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Something very, very simple. It's a matter of emotion where somebody felt that this was okay or no, I don't feel like this is okay. No, this is wrong. You know what I mean? Rather now the time we live in and shit, it's, attack. Anybody says something you don't like, attack. You're just on the fucking warpath. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to have calm, logical discussions, especially about stuff like that, because understandably, it's just like, wow. It's like
especially with somebody that's not trying to listen.
Yes.
Ignorance is bliss.
It is. But sometimes I'm like, put me back. I know too much now.
Plug me back in.
Not really though. I like living the hard edge life.
But see, even within that, people like that are still entertained and easily distracted, right? So there's still avenues where they can be reached and used. It has to be done.
Whew. We're talking about everything now.
Yeah, I mean, people are like bots and shit, so you might as well use a fucking bot to your advantage. Right. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
All these motherfuckers been playing chess for years. The fuck it. I'm just saying.
I get it. I feel you.
Like, but the whole thing is, man, it's like it's a mindset. It's a mindset to want to be a dredge on people and cause people pain versus the opposite, trying to uplift people. You know what I mean? Help people feel like they could be more productive about shit. You know what I mean? And that's a basic human emotion. You know what I mean? Like, here's an interesting poll. You know what I mean? Like, I know if I do something like this, it's not going to work because I ain't got the following that you got, right? Here's an interesting poll to post. Give people an honest 2-answer question. Are you happy? Yes or no? Yeah, I've said I would like to believe those bars are going to be out of proportion. You know what I'm saying? People really introspective and think about that shit. Are you really happy? You know what I mean? Why? You know what I mean? A lot of people aren't confident people. You know what I mean? They don't feel uplifted. They don't feel appreciated. They don't feel important. You know what I mean? To anybody or somebody or someone.
Yeah.
A lot of motherfuckers feel like they're alone and shit. Like, even I put you like this. Even when you plug into the motherfucking app or whatever and shit, you interact with people and stuff like that, it is an honest form of social interaction because there's a lot of different ways you can utilize the shit to communicate with people. From text, pictures, GIFs, video, live streams, audio, Twitter spaces, all that shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different avenues to interact with people where you can really get an important aspect of your life. You know what I mean? The problem is being cut off from people physically. So part of that, not just with the COVID shit being cut off from people, is people, gotta pay bills and shit. You know what I mean? So you gotta do what the fuck you gotta do. And sometimes, you spend an exorbitant amount of time doing that shit. So, you don't really have time for much else. So, you cut off in other ways too. You know what I mean? So, people feel on a fucking island. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, anybody even thinking about I'm out here? I got the help. I ain't seen no planes. I ain't seen shit. Somebody fucking help me. You know what I mean? So that's part of why I feel like, especially going back to, bringing back around to the COVID shit, when you talk about people that, thought adversely about it and thought that, the jab was a good idea and I'm, doing it, blah, 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 and shit, is why they don't need to be cut off. You know what I mean? Because, think about it like this. When you feel like you made a good choice on a very big moral decision in the world and shit, and then you come to find out what you got was not what you thought it was, you know what I'm saying? You're going to really feel hurt inside by that shit, you know what I mean? And then what you got to deal with people that that you once considered your friends, shame you, like, man, fuck you, don't even talk to me type shit, you know what I mean? That's too much. People don't need that, you know what I mean? Because that point, that's motherfuckers, like, they start, committing suicide and all types of shit.
Yeah, we don't need to add any extra shame, that's for sure. And that's how I've been, like, the whole time. It's if you want to fucking get it. But, like, the whole pressuring and shit, and people losing their jobs, or Hex had to go get fucking tested all the time just to go to work. Like,
yeah, and and this is kind of something I wanted to bring up when you first posed that question earlier. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get vaccinated at all, and because of that, I have to get tested weekly to make sure I don't have it to protect the vaccinated. And then there's the question of, well, if the vaccine works, then why the fuck do I have to protect you? But that's another story. And week of Thanksgiving, I got the test. I got tested on, I think it was Saturday. Yeah. And because it was the week of Thanksgiving, I'm pretty sure a lot of people who worked in the lab went to travel to see family or whatever. So I didn't get my results back until that Wednesday. So, and I wasn't able to show up to work. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Friday, no one showed up because it was Black Friday. My paycheck was cut in half and I was barely able to make rent. Yeah. So when you ask that question, do you cut people off or do you forgive them? I feel like in that case, go fuck yourself, because the people who thought this policy was a good idea clearly, at least in my mind, clearly didn't think about the repercussions like what I had to deal with. So it's like,
okay, quick question. Okay, the people you're referencing are the ones that are in positions of power to push for a policy like this, correct?
Correct. HR department at work, basically. I'm pretty sure this is their doing.
Okay, so it's like basically in their mind, like, if you don't show up to work, you don't get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much. And it's because of their policy.
Mm-hmm. So do you think part of that policy is also pushed down from higher up above their head? And it's just something that they enforce. Like, oh, my hands are tied on. It's just, this is what they said it is, so it is what it is.
I don't think so. At least, like, I guess, like, my managers, that's the case with, like, the people I actually deal with, like my managers or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, is there anyone above HR doing that? I don't think so.
Because here's the reason why I bring that up, right? Because there was a point where what you described was not a thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So at some point, somebody in a position of power in that company was like, okay, we're going to institute this into the company policy. You know what I'm saying? Do you believe that the people that are fucking you in this way are the ones responsible for instituting that policy? Or it came up from somebody that's higher than them?
No, I think it's their doing, to be honest. And they weren't, in my company wasn't the only one that did something like this. There are, like, all kinds of employers that did the same thing, but they did it because they want to protect people. But like I said, it's like, first of all, well, does the vaccine work or not?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, did you think about people have bills and rent to pay, and if they can't show up because their results come back late and they can't make their bills, and then they're out on the street, it's like, well, did you think about that? Because it seems like you didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like sabotage in a way.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, I am legit the only person at my job who didn't buy into any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally surrounded by NPCs, and and there's also that aspect.
Like people still be in office wearing masks and all that shit too.
Yeah.
Every day, religiously, faithfully.
Yeah. Some people do, some people don't. Like there's this one chick. She like sits in like the break room alone. She has a mask on, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
Just it's like a little lost cat. You want to pick it up and save it, but it shit's tough, man. It's fucking tough, man. Because
no, that's why like you said, like when you brought up that question, it's like, do you forgive people or cut them off, or making decisions like that? And it's like, at least in my opinion, that's a scenario where you just go, go fuck yourself. And it's like, okay, it's like, well, maybe they didn't consider that. And it's like, well, that's the problem. You're not thinking at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in a position where you get to push that policy. And if you're not thinking about the repercussions, then why are you in that position? And why should I forgive you for fucking me up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of companies out there I'm hearing that are still requiring a vaccine and stuff. And it's like, don't we know by now? Like, aren't we kind of over that by now? But
I rejected an interview once because of that shit. Like Bama's reached out to me and shit and was like, come in and see us on this day and shit, bring your vaccination information and shit. And I was like, the fuck? So I seen that shit. I was like, you know what? I appreciate very much the offer, but on the grounds of that shit right there, I respectfully decline.
Right.
I was like, nope. Don't even play with me.
That's and it's just, we need more and more people to do that just so like it would get pointed out. But that's what's been so weird about it, because even since the beginning with the mask, you would think, oh, there's enough people being like, no, this is dumb the way that it's being implemented. Yeah. Then people would, but no, it went the opposite way, where like people got even more angry about it, and we're just like, no, you have to do it. Like, we should have said, like, we tried to put our foot down. I feel like most people I interact with, like, everyone was like, no, this is bullshit at first, but they still got it, man.
It was a pandemic of fear is what it was.
Yeah.
It was a pandemic of fear because of a cold.
And it's weird how they're like saying, like, the whole mask thing is saying that you think everybody is constantly sick all the time. Like, I still see people, and it's like, how in your right mind would you even think that? Like, I know they got into people's brain with the whole asymptomatic stuff, but I'm like, even at this point, how do you think every single person is just like so sick they're going to get you sick, even though when they're healthy? Like,
I mean, it's another problem too in itself and shit. When you're wearing a mask all fucking day and shit, be breathing in and out so much of your carbon dioxide all day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You start developing respiratory problems and, a little underlying bullshit because of that. Just because of that.
Yeah, that alone in this last flu season, that could have made this last flu season a little bit worse, probably, is because people have been wearing masks for 2 years, weakening themselves.
See, part of what builds up your immunity sometimes is catching a cold.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that, because there's a video that started making the rounds on Twitter, and it was a Fauci in the 80s or 90s or whatever, saying like the best flu vaccine is getting the flu and recovering from it. And now, this COVID shit, it's like, no, you got to get the vaccine. Natural immunity is a myth. There was actually a headline that said something, the myth of natural immunity. And then it's like they're trying to gaslight the people into thinking the immune system is a myth. And it's like, yeah, there's something definitely sinister going on here.
Yeah, that was wild. Just like people saying, hey, maybe work out and be healthy, being like,
eat right.
Like, people are like attacked for just making suggestions that we've always lived with. Like,
it was herd immunity.
Yeah. And you could only do it through the vaccines for a while, but then it's just, that made me the most mad. And then, like, if you brought it up, so you said, hey, maybe it's it's worse on people who are overweight, blah, blah, blah. Well, then you hate fat people if you even said this stuff or whatever. Like, we couldn't even talk about it. It was that instant, like, nope.
Then they make it emotional.
Yeah. And then they tried to be all like, free, whatever. Like, if I'm of the mind, like, I've always been like, yeah, there's gonna be people making bad decisions that will need health, and they probably won't be able to afford it, and someone will have to pay for it, whatever. But I'm like, that's just life. That's just whatever, society. Like, that's gonna happen. But then they were like, oh, if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't get care in the hospital and stuff. And I was like, what? Like, all my life, I never said shit like that ever to anyone. I have never thought in my mind once, oh, someone shouldn't receive care when they need it. Like, that was vile. That was just vile that people were even thinking that in their heads, in my opinion.
See, I would, to even consider something like that, honestly, I would really believe that some doctor, some surgeon, somebody in that fucking hospital, like just randomly, for example, somebody was to get dropped off at the front of the fucking emergency door and shit because they got shot in the leg, right? But they're not vaccinated. They're gonna leave that person out there to die?
Yeah.
They're not gonna do that.
I don't know.
They're not gonna do that.
Right.
No, it was just scary that like so many of the NPCs were saying it. That's what, because then it's like, they start saying it.
Because they pushing narrative is what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to filter that bullshit, but then shut it down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what shuts down bullshit is hard truth. Like shit where people can't, it's something that's undeniable. When you get hit with the fucking fact that's undeniable and shit, that little bullshit can't stand anymore. It just can't.
It's true. Oh, someone has a question for you, MA. James is asking if you got your cat the jab.
Absolutely not. Not my cat. Not any of my cats. Not me. Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
My cat, I have a pure blood cat too. I'm like, I don't. She's still young, but like, I don't know. She seems healthy. So
pure blood gang.
Yeah. Yeah, Hex is super pure blood. He's like
I've never had any vaccine in my life. Never had a flu shot. Never had a chickenpox shot, measles, whatever the fuck else they have vaccines for. Never had the shot, and I've also never had any of those diseases that they're supposed to protect against.
Yeah.
So and I'm only one person, and my circumstances are not indicative of that of the entire population. But that's exactly why one size fits all solutions don't work.
Yeah.
And it just seems the less medicines and stuff, like if you don't need to take a medicine, you don't take a medicine because there's consequences from it. And like we said earlier, with all these shots, all these vaccines, and it seems like people are getting sicker and sicker. So it's like all these people I know in my generation and stuff, they started pushing all the Ritalin and like all these drugs. And it's there is consequences from this, whether people want to see it or not, that like
I agree.
It'll affect your body, your physical health.
Mm-hmm. You become chemically dependent on this shit, man. That's it.
Yeah, I'd rather get dependent on more fun drugs, man.
I don't even take Aspirin, Advil, Tylenol, none of that shit, man.
I try not to. I take Advil like once a month when I need it. Just a couple, but oh shit. I don't know. Anything else you guys want to chat? We're a little over an hour now. I don't know if there's anything else you want to chat about.
All right, so I got a question.
Okay.
Well, this is for you, Forrest Mommy.
Okay.
How did you feel about getting banned and having to build back up from that shit on Twitter?
So in my when it happened, I was like, okay, I violated the TOU or whatever, so I can't argue against it. I was thinking it was stupid, but I don't know. Luckily it built up fast, so I don't know if it was just whatever, but I was mad, especially because I love the Forest Mom, the original Forest Mommy. I love it. So, I don't know. It was annoying. Then also, get a fucking life. You dumbass. Get off the internet, you dumb girl. I don't know. I tried to be whatever, because once it was done and they didn't, look at my appeal or anything, I was like, well, what the fuck? There's nothing I can fucking do about it. So.
Yeah, so happened to me when I got banned.
Yeah, Hex got banned too a while back.
Did you?
Yeah, back in August.
Yeah, there was Go ahead.
I got into an argument with someone over Tuskegee, and I used some words that Twitter didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it quick, especially when somebody goes to that report button. They'll do it quick.
And that's why he probably did. And I think people were purposely doing that too, whether they,
I think so too.
if they're bots or work for whoever, but they like, especially some of these like
They try to bait you and stuff.
Yeah, they bait people.
That's
and then
what I
everyone
felt
gets,
like.
Yeah. And it was
So-
a,
No,
it was a black
it's
person
like
you were
magic.
arguing with, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, it was a white guy.
I'm still not convinced that it wasn't a bot.
True.
Or maybe like one of those Russian bot farm things. I don't know. It was just strange. And
Yeah,
then they banned me. They cited hateful conduct, but didn't point to any specific tweets. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to appeal that?
Right. Yeah. No, sir. You're just shut down. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Nothing.
Go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That did make me mad too with the picture because I'm like, I'll change the fucking picture. Like all I have to do is just put a different picture up, and like, but they're like,
And it was crazy too, because it was like, it was a string there for a while where like a lot of people were getting picked off, a lot.
Yeah, that was happening. There have been a couple of instances of just people just getting picked off left and right.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bunch yesterday. I just saw a bunch like
Yeah.
Toad.
Anarcho,
like,
that's he got picked off.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yep.
The
Anarcho.
dude,
wow.
the dude just
got
did
nuked.
too.
Wow.
Who did?
Follow the dude. I don't know if follow the dude, but he just lost his too. They do want to They do want to bait people and silence people that are against that will like say what's against it.
So back to the point about being baited, right? So first part of catching that shit is you gotta be aware. You gotta be aware when that shit's being used against you, right? So rather than being caught in the trap, you gotta use the bait and switch, right? So rather than engage in the debate, you gotta be entertaining. Because they can't take that away from you.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of how I've dealt with trolls all along because I've been on the internet since fucking forever, right? And I've like all along, it's like the trolls are gonna say shit. So like instead of like reacting to it, just fucking like either play into it or like just give them the reaction they weren't expecting or don't want.
Sometimes trolls can be fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like,
There's this thing.
You find
There's this thing that happened.
you find some interesting people like that, man.
Yeah. There's this thing that happened to me a while ago where one of my friends who lives near me, he tagged me in a meme where it's like this white dude and then this black dude. It's like the Chad Wojak meme. It was like, hey, nice gun. You want to go to the range? It's like, yeah. And then it's like right off to like the right or whatever. It's like the illustration of the raging liberal crying. It's like, no, you're supposed to hate each other or whatever. And our friend is a white dude. He tagged me in it and whatever. And then some random ass fucking dude came in and commented on it and talked about complaining about how white people are being replaced or some stupid shit like that. And I just laughed at him the entire time because it's like, first of all, who are you? You're not follow. No one I know is following you. Just some random ass fucking dude saying crazy shit like that. I'm like, I'm not even mad. I'm just gonna laugh at you for being dumb.
I remember you telling me about that.
I engage randos like that. Like I'm at a position in my Twitter social standing where I can't afford not to.
Right.
So I have fun with those people. Like Forrest, Mom, you saw this shit yesterday.
I know. I still like don't even understand. He was like mad you said to follow me or something. I don't even know what he was like.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Little fake meow boots that didn't even get off the lily pad. This motherfucker came in the joint hating. I'm like, God damn, cuz. I mean, it's very simple, do or don't. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, you want me to figure this shit out for you? You know what I mean? You an adult, you can make a fucking decision.
No, and he just kept like, I mean, I was because I saw it later and I was reading through and I was like, what the hell happened here? I was like, okay. And then he just kept writing these like long-winded things about follow. It's like, dude, follow or not? Like,
yeah, just do or don't. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, people on the internet, man. There's definitely like bad people on the internet who just got nothing good.
Yeah, but it's also
opportunity.
It's opportunities to learn from it too.
Yeah, that is true.
Especially when it's somebody that was on your follow list or you also followed and they do some dumb shit like that. You know, so to that point, just be careful of your particular choice in verbiage, especially in the text format, when it can be copy and pasted from the timeline, because that's where they get you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they get you. So be articulate, immaculate. I can't fuck with you there. You be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone's tried to do anything like crazy like that, but just people just don't like me, which I'm like, fine. I would never make anyone like me or I'm all about voluntary association. And I think if you don't
That's
like,
the
you
thing,
can
though.
not like someone for no fucking goddamn reason, and that is fine. Like, and that's how I feel. But I see
Yeah, it's
people
like that's the
talking
thing.
shit.
Like, if you don't like me, just block, mute, whatever. Goodbye. Instead of jumping in my comments complaining.
The hate follows. It's like, bitch, like just go. Like no one's asking you to be here.
You know what's weird about that though? Like, unless it's like one of these bot accounts where it's like the motherfucker just got made last month and has like 12 followers. You know what I'm saying? You know, some stupid shit, right? Let's say it's one of these, you know, goofy ass troll accounts and shit that's got 500 followers, right? Even if they do decide to come in there and comment, that's still an avenue to work. Because like, I'm saying, like, I'm saying this shit, you guys are like thinking about algorithms and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, how things show up in your timeline, you know, such and such, you know, like this, interacted with this, you know, retweeted this, commented on this, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? It's still avenues to, you know, reach more people.
Yeah. And negative, like for people who are like, negativity does have a draw. Like people are going to pay attention to it and see it.
Yeah. Controversy creates cash.
Conflict too.
Yeah.
Controversy, conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy and Otter are here trolling you, hun.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, Otter has a wonderful habit of doing that shit on goddamn Twitter Spaces and shit. There's this game show space and shit that happens on Sunday nights on Twitter and shit at what is it, 11 p.m. Eastern, what is that, 9 Pacific, I think, or 8 Pacific or whatever. 8. They do the Twitter game show space and shit. Who's this? What's that? Wrong answers only, right? And Otter is constantly that motherfucker trolling me, man. Constantly that motherfucker trolling me, man. And Otter's a good dude though, man. Kathy too, man. Him and his wife, man. I fuck with them. They're good people, man. So I know when they're trolling from a place of love.
Yes.
Not contempt.
Well, that's teasing, and like you know, when you're friends with people, you do that. Like you should be teasing each other, even if it's like real talk too. Like if it's like something like real or not, you should still be teasing each other. Yeah, those faces are funny. He was.
He likes to roast me every chance he get in this freaking. Oh, there he is, and he's hilarious.
He is funny. I had him.
That's good right there. No bullshit. No bullshit. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
you have to Sherlock Holmes that one to figure it out. I'm like, hold up, he said what? But like, if by that point you still upset, then you just want to be upset. You know what I mean? If you figured out the genius in that and not laughing shit, then you need to get over it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
What's Ace? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what people are talking about.
I wish I could see it.
So they're like going, there's a guy named The Smoke in there. He's like, we have to watch. There's apparently something on NBC about that everyone needs to see, but he can't link it. But he was like, I'll have to go back and look at the chats and try and figure it out.
But it's the news. I don't like watching the news.
I know.
Right. Somebody just give me a TLDR or give me a Twitter thread.
Right.
Yes.
I give me context and then I'll take it from there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting in there, you know, plugging into that dumb shit.
Oh, he's talking interdimensional demons. That's what he's talking. I see that right now. So I guess there's something about that on that show. Okay.
So we're talking.
Hillary Clinton is a blood sucking vampire.
Yeah, that's common knowledge.
Yeah. That's true.
Like we know that already. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The thing is, what can we do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? You know, because that's definitely not normal behavior. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, there's no question that these people have been doing things with children. Yeah, it is, and there is magic is real. Do you follow Not a Commie? He sometimes is in those spaces with everyone, but like,
yeah, you talking about Clarence?
Yeah, when he does the black voice
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And then you look at him. Now he started
Yeah.
posting his picture. I was like, because I thought he was black for a while, and then I figured it all out. I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on.
And I had I'll put it to you like this. I had a very rocky introduction to him to start with, and it came from a fucking Twitter space because like we were going off in there about some shit for a while, and like somebody chimed in, was like, nah, in the comment, he was like, you're the spokesman for the black experience. And I was like, hold the fuck up, nigga. He's not even black. It was funny as shit, yo. It was funny as shit, man. That shit was wild.
That
shit was funny as a motherfucker.
Well, we were talking about, because there is all the shit in history, especially like during World War I. They literally had hired magicians. They would call them, like there is this black magic, sex magic, whatever you want to call it. Like there is that shit. Like there is something to it when you start looking at it, and like looking at the history of Jack Parsons, and then like he was inventing the fucking missiles and bombs and stuff, and like the government came in, and then all of a sudden this like sex cult came in, and L. Ron Hubbard came in, and it's like, what were they like? There's something to it, like
that eyes wide shut type shit.
Yeah, I'm all about sex magic, but for good. But then my friend's like, no, you can't do it for good. It only goes bad. And I'm like, well, I'm trying for good. Okay, like I think it's working.
Yeah, make good sex, not bad sex.
And just like the positivity too, and building people up. Like I talk to so many people on Twitter who are like trying to date, and like I'm like, we can talk for real about this shit, and like how do we move forward? And like obviously they see me being a little bit like openly sexual, and it's like they feel comfortable with me and feel like they can talk about things with me, and I like that. Like I think that's a positive thing for the world. But
up to the mommy and force mommy, but without actual kids.
Yeah, I love it. Everyone's like, oh, but you don't really have kids. I'm like, no.
Did you find people that get like all tense and awkward around this shit? About
like talking about dating and stuff?
Well, just, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, being open how you are, how you deal with people when you out with people and shit.
Yeah, there are some people who like probably don't like it, but then they're not there. You know, I feel like everyone who comes around and like they know me, like even like because I was forced mommy before I started getting, which disclaimer, do I think the Libertarian Party will fix anything or do anything? Probably not. But I have the energy to volunteer and be a part of the community and stuff. So that's what I do. But like all them, like they like loved it. They like were like, oh yeah, it's Forest Mommy. Like no one's been like weird to me about anything. I've only had like one person in 2 years that like in person got weird. And it was fine. Like I was able to like deal with it, and it was not a big deal. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, if people are uptight, I know like not necessarily in real life. Like even women love me in real life too, even if they know my Forest Mommy thing. Like, but there are women on Twitter who do not like me, and that's fine. Like, just fucking block me, but they don't, of course. You
think that's jealousy?
Not necessarily. I think it's just they see something in me that they see in themselves that they don't like, or you know, like I always think about that whenever I like see someone and I'm like, fuck, I feel something, but then I'm like, oh, it's probably something in me I don't like that I'm seeing in them. So I think it's a lot like that. Like, I don't know. I'm not out here stealing husbands or shit. Like, so no one's got to worry about that kind of thing. So
right.
I don't know.
You're overreaching with your judgment and your opinion a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people be doing too much sometimes, but
it is what it is.
Roll with those punches, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I got to this point with people like every online space I've ever been with, there's at least been one just like hater who just hates, you know, and you're just like, I did nothing to you. Like I got doxxed before by someone. All I didn't even really know them, just through like online, and I blocked them on Instagram, and they like doxed me for that. And I was like, how are you so fucked in the head that
life, person?
Yeah. I one day I'll out that motherfucker, but I'm not yet. But I'm not gonna dox him, but I'm gonna say who did it, and he's like a very prolific person. So it's like, fuck you, dude. Like,
so here's a off-brand kind of technical question. What's your goal and your motive for the podcast?
Like this thing? Just been talking to people right now. Just like been talking to people since we've all been kind of like separated, right? Just to talk to people and get to know people who live different lives from me. Like I've had Australians on. I have my Austrian friend who comes on a lot. Like it's just to get to know people, because that's how I am. Like even in real life, I just love to like learn about people's lives who are different than me, and it's just everyone's got a good story to tell, you know,
Yeah,
like everyone's
yeah.
got a story. Everyone's just interesting to me. And I love like fucking quirks in people and like finding quirks and like I love that. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a goal. You know, whatever. I'm probably not gonna make money off of it or anything. So it's just kind of to talk to people and
that's a good
find
enough
more
reason right
community.
there.
Yeah, find more community that's more spread out for if we ever do like meet each other in person and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Hex, man,
Sir.
just want to make sure I point this out. I seen your SoundCloud link on your page and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, you got some good shit on there, man.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to check that out, man. You got some good shit on there.
yeah, one day he's gonna write us a theme
I'll make sure I
song for
point that out
this,
there.
but
Do it, yeah. Shit, up the fucking production, you know. Get on it. Like I put it like this. Like how many subs you got on your YouTube shit?
I think it's like 1,100 or something right now.
Okay, all right. A6 got like maybe 140, right? We got fucking intro music and shit.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I need help. I need like the technology shit. Like it took me forever just to figure out how to like live stream for what. And like half the time my shit was breaking anyways. It's working now, so we're good.
I'm gonna tell you something though. That part right there is part of the joy in the process, but also the pain in the process.
Yes, and I need to learn to get past my blocks of like not being able to figure it out and fucking figure it out. Like
right. And then once you figure it out and you start figuring out that you can do little shit and slice it, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. But then it becomes a routine thing. It's like, fuck, now I gotta go through an hour of editing shit, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to go back. Hex, I don't know if I told you my watch time hours. Just I don't know if you saw that. Like they just like 1,000 of them just disappeared, and I'm like, oh, it's probably because
Really?
Hex dropped the hard R in a couple episodes. That's all.
Mm.
I have no idea because nothing like changed. Nothing looks different. So I was like, I don't know what the hell they did. Who cares? Like
They didn't nuke an episode, did they?
no, nothing got like pulled or anything. So I'm like, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
Well,
do?
according to Biden, I ain't black anymore, so that's probably why.
It's true. You're not black, and I am black now. We've come across this. We
hit a crossroad.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, all right, guys. Want to call it there? Hour and a half.
That sounds great. I mean, I've had a very interesting time. I enjoyed it very much. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I've been like you're great. I'm so glad like we've crossed paths now because
likewise.
I love what you got to say. Why don't you plug whatever you need when I may?
First and foremost, I love you, mama. I'm gonna say that shit first. I love you, mama. You probably won't ever see this shit, but I love you, mama.
Aww.
I'm gonna plug A6 Podcast. Search for that shit on YouTube. Animalistic 6. We are deep under the fucking earth in the shadow band realm, so you're gonna have to go look for it, right? Animalistic 6 on YouTube. From time to time, I may post shit on my personal YouTube page, 1MA. But I'm not a podcaster per se, but I do shit. So this is me. What you see is what you get. Appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you.
Hey, you are welcome back on this show anytime.
I'll see y'all on the battlefield on the Twitter timeline.
Yeah, we'll see you on Twitter.
All right, y'all.
See you. Hex, you can plug stuff too if you want real quick.
Hexo_Genesis on Twitter and Hexcelerate everywhere else.
And I'll put stuff in the description. I'll put your guys' stuff in the descriptions too. So
appreciate that.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, and thanks for everyone watching. And have a good rest of your Sunday.
All right, pleasure to be here. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
You too.
All right now.